The trash talking of Conor McGregor. It's my really poor attempt at an Irish accent. I posted a video maybe about a week ago about Conor McGregor's fighting style. I had stayed up late the night before watching what I could access of his UFC fights, which I totally understand is not really representative of his whole career, but using the fight library on UFC.com, I watched what I could access, and then I gave some of my opinions about his fighting style and expressed how I thought that his approach was an exciting one that I am looking forward to following. And I really didn't know very much about Conor McGregor, and I still don't. But it's come to my attention that he's getting a lot of he's getting a lot of fame for being a trash talker in the MMA community, particularly the UFC community. That he's kind of taking over the trash talking, gap that has been left since Chael Sonnen was dismissed. And some people had asked me about it, wondered what my opinions are of his trash talking. And so, not being familiar with it, I again went on the net and checked out what I could of his clips of him trash talking in this. I think about half the time that he's trash talking, it's a little bit too transparently insincere, and then the other part, it's showmanship. I mean, the whole thing is an attempt at showmanship, and I completely understand that. I think rather than actually talking so much about Conor McGregor as a trash talker, I mean, even though he'll be the underlying subject, I think probably I'd just rather talk about trash talking in the UFC in general, because I see it kind of as an interesting phenomenon. I mean, there's a long history by now, there's a long history of trash talking in fight communities. Like, you think of Muhammad Ali and all the trash that he talked, and the poetry that he used, and how he'd predict, which rounds, what was going to happen, and all this stuff in his fights. And I don't know if it started with Ali, but that's the earliest example I can just think of. But certainly it's been an adopted form of showmanship in the fighting sports community to do this. Like, you don't see all sports engaging in this stuff. You don't see trash talking golfers and this kind of a thing. But among the fighting sports, this is not in any way unique or abnormal. And where I think the showmanship really came to kind of like a gross crescendo was maybe in professional wrestling, which is all showmanship to begin with. There's not really so much legitimate competition there. It's a show, it's entertainment, it's understood as such, and the trash talking was a component of it, and a huge component. And I think that with the popularity of the UFC, a lot of folks who were attracted or who were fans of professional wrestling have either gone to include UFC in their entertainment interests, or they've just migrated over from wrestling into watching the UFC. And so I think for those folks in particular, the trash talk stuff is really part of what they're used to, accustomed to, and what they're part of what they're coming to hear. I mean, I myself never watch any of the pre-fight stuff. I never watch any of the hype leading up to fights and this kind of a thing. I'll just watch some fights, and usually it's pretty long after the case that I'll watch a fight. But there are people that really, are following the whole thing, and they really get into the discussions and stuff that are going on leading into fights. And for these people, part of what they're accustomed to as part of the entertainment package is to have the trash talking stuff. And you don't see a lot of it. I mean, you do, but you don't. It's not like the way that professional wrestling was. You don't see it like that in the UFC, but it's definitely not rare either. Conor McGregor is pulling a lot of it out, but he's doing it especially for showmanship. He's building up his fights, and in a sense building his career through the trash talking and through getting people interested. As if his fighting style wasn't interesting enough, he's got this character, this persona that he's putting out there in the interviews and such, where he's being the trash talker, and a lot of people like that. But I can see that it's really also kind of an uncomfortable grounds for a lot of the fighters, because this isn't pro wrestling. These fighters are really fighters. Some of them are really, lifelong martial artists. And so the whole trash talking, showmanship, entertainment aspect is, I think, probably a little bit foreign to them. And so you see them just be quiet. I mean, I'm thinking about guys like GSP or Anderson Silva, or, fairly humble guys who will let whoever talk trash about them, and their only comment will be, well, we'll see. He talks a lot of trash, but the fight day will come. So there's those guys, and I think they're a little bit uncomfortable with the trash talking because they're actual fighters. They're not there just to be entertainers. They're there because they're fighters or martial artists. So it's a weird thing in a way to have this convergence, and it's not just in the trash talking, but it's something that needs to be considered, I think, for this competition fighting industry in general, to have this convergence of basically real martial artists or real fighters on the one hand, and then the interest in entertainment on the other hand, because the two things aren't one and the same. Fighting itself may be entertaining, but fighters might not be entertainers. Conor McGregor, in a sense, has a fuller package than some of the other guys in the UFC, because he's an actual fighter, an actual martial artist. Plus, he's got a zeal for being an entertainer. And so that's another thing that makes him a little bit different and a little bit exciting. And, something I think that's going to be good for the industry, because it seems to me like, and I could be totally wrong, but it seems to me like, in a way, the UFC is at a kind of a low for showcasing entertaining fighters that people are really attracted to and really following and really getting interested in. I mean, there's Ronda Rousey and such. I know there's others, but you know, the Anderson Silvas, GSP, the Chael Sonnens, Chuck Liddells, the BJ Penns, you know, all these like real, you know, classic UFC guys are either retired or have injured their way out of the business, and so there's more than just the trash talking gap to fill, I think. And so into that arena steps Conor McGregor, and he has a pretty full package to participate in a big way and become a big, like one of these superstars of the UFC, I think, because he is an excellent fighter, martial artist, plus an entertainer. And so far, looking at the entertainer side, it seems even a little bit, you know, too much like he's putting on a show to me right now. It's a little bit over the top right now, but I think he's going to get more into his groove as things go along. If he continues to be successful as a fighter, he'll get more into the entertainer groove as well, and we'll see him get more artful in that sense. So, as far as his trash talking, you know, I just think it's there for the entertainment. I think he's doing it for the showmanship, and I think he'll get better and better at it, just as he'll get better and better at his fighting as things go along. And I won't be watching for his trash talking, because that's not really what I pay attention to. But the people that are into that showmanship entertainment side beyond the fighting, he's going to be an exciting person to have around for that. So those are my thoughts.